Hello, and welcome to the Global Luxury Real Estate Mastermind with me, your host, Michael Valdez. Today's guest, oh my God, I love these guys. These are so wonderful people. We have Josue and Rebecca Soto, who are the owners of the Soto Legacy Group, powered by eXp in Orlando. They're the co-authors of Married in Real Estate, which we're going to get into in a few minutes. But more importantly, they're really good friends of mine. So Rebecca, Josue, welcome to the show. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year. Thank you so much for having us, Michael. We're so honored to be here with you guys.
Oh my God. Are you kidding? I can't believe you haven't been on the show before. It's my bad.
Happy New Year's, Michael.
Happy New Year.
Hope you enjoyed yourself.
Oh my God. It was a lot of fun. How about you guys? You guys were with family?
Yeah, we spent the time with some family, just kind of low key here and just relaxing. I think I needed a little bit of relaxing time.
I think everybody did. You know, last year was like a really big year. We were running like crazy, but it's sort of like we needed a restart.
Yeah,
absolutely. Right?
We already have like all the trips for this year coming up. So it's
we've got a lot coming up already.
Yes. Yeah. I was just showing Rebecca our first quarter calendar. I'm like, yeah, that's a lot of trips already.
You know, I'm starting to travel next week. We're going down to Puerto Rico for that mastermind. So
that's right. Yes.
Yeah. So we're already starting on the road pretty early on in the year. And that's sort of like a lot of the senior leadership is heading down. So good. So we've got a lot of stuff going on already. But listen, it's your interview, not mine. So, tell me. Okay. I want to, I don't even think I have I know the answer to this, but how did you each get started in real estate?
All right. Well, Josh, do you want to tell it?
Yeah, it was back in 2015, actually, December 2015. We were just already looking and feeling.
Wait. What year was it?
Oh, 2005. I'm sorry, 2005.
There you go. Talk about partnerships.
Yeah, that's how we work well together. So sorry. Yeah, it was December 2005. And for a while there, we were just feeling that we needed a career change. We just needed something. We were both kind of feeling like we needed something bigger, something else.
Something more meaningful. More
meaningful,
And what sector did you come from? What were you working in before?
So I worked in a dental office. I was a dental assistant, doing root canals and crowns and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I was actually a local semi-driver for almost 20 years. Yeah,
wow.
At that moment. Yes.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah.
And I tell you, it was till this day, man, we both made a commitment that it was right before Christmas that we were basically going to give each other our gift to each other. Where we were about to do a 1-week class the week prior to Christmas. We were just going to go in there. That was our gift to each other. We did it together and we passed the class test. And in early 2006, January 2006, we took the state passed it and started working in real estate.
I love that story. So, you know what? I see your partnership. How did you guys meet?
So, interesting story about that because we didn't know each other at all. And he comes into the office I'm working at in the dental office, and the office manager says, "Hey, this next patient coming in, you need to bring him in." And I thought, me? Why? Why? He's not on my schedule. And so, if you've ever worked for doctors' offices, they are very strict with, which patients you're seeing. And so she says, no, I'm the office manager. I want you to bring him in and take care of him. So I was like, okay, fine. So I brought him in and, it's regular patient relationship, take his x-rays, all that good stuff. And at the end of it, she's telling me during his visit where he's still getting his cleaning and all that good stuff, she's like, "Hey, he's a really great guy." And she's telling me all about him. And I'm kind of like, wait, but he's a patient. Like, I'm not, this is so weird. And she's like, no, you really do have to get to know him. And so at the end of his visit, as he's checking out, there's just small talk going on. And she looks at him and says, "You know what? Rebecca has to get back to work, but you know what? She hangs out at all the local bars and clubs. And why don't you guys go ahead and exchange phone numbers?" And I have the look of death. I'm like, "Did you just do that to us?"
Wow. I love that.
That was very awkward.
Yeah, it was really awkward. But you know what? We exchanged numbers and here we are today.
And it worked out. I thought you were going to say to me, like, just I got a root canal for a second date and it didn't need one.
No. No,
but you
no,
would
no.
have.
But the interesting fun fact is that we were both in braces when we met together.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That is
that's true.
so wait, so what happened to the office manager that sort of set you up? Is she still around?
It's so funny because I did lose track of or contact with her. But the interesting thing is that when I tell him, fast forward, I tell him that, he's like, I don't even know her.
No.
So I thought, that is the strangest thing. Now, maybe she just knew a little bit about him through office chatter, I guess.
Yeah.
How
That
does she
is
know?
so funny.
Yeah, and that was so
To
true.
me, it's divine intervention.
Because I honestly,
that's
I never
amazing.
sat down with her and actually spoke to her. So I'm like, how did this is where all the office chat gets around? Because I'm like,
That's
I don't know how they found
crazy.
out.
So it worked because now you've got, you guys are together. It's a beautiful marriage. You have your co-authors of this amazing book. Congratulations, by the way, Married in Real Estate. You have a beautiful podcast with it where you actually bring on married guests onto your show as well. So the number one most obvious question is, how do you balance life, work, and married life? Because you're all together all the time, right? How do you compartmentalize that?
So, it's interesting because as we have our own podcast as well, that is one of the biggest challenges that most married couples have, is how they balance it all. And I think for me anyways, we came from a place where both of us were working long hours, 9 to 5 in my case, but he was working longer hours. He's working, 16 hours a day, sometimes without eating lunch. And he'd come home super stressed out. And I'm going to tell you, that version of him was not a happy guy. Was not a happy guy. It was, you're excited to see your husband at the end of the day as a newlywed couple.
Yeah.
And then there's like this Tasmanian devil coming through the door and you're like, oh, shoot. But
I've had 3 hours sleep. Leave me alone.
So the thing is, we knew we had to make changes there. But coming into real estate, we were able to work together. We knew we wanted to work together. We knew that we could work together well, and so that, to me, I think when you're really paired up with that person who's meant to be for you, you're going to get along, right? 100%. And so we worked well in business together, and maybe shutting it off at the end of the day was probably the harder part. That was a bigger challenge, because when you're in growth mode, you want to put as many hours as you can. So it's funny because we come into this industry thinking we want to control our schedules and we want more free time. And sometimes we end up probably working harder, putting in more.
Because you're building, right?
Because you're building.
But something you just sort of said what I thought was important. You actually agreed to shut off at some point. And then it's just you guys together enjoying each other.
Yeah.
And we had to do it, Michael, because I came from an industry that I worked long hours. So to me, long hours, just honestly, a 16, 17-hour shift felt like 8 hours to me after that, So not to say anything bad about it, but my body was so used to it already. Yeah. So when we basically decided to make this move fully committed, I'm a fully committed person. And, we both sat down, we said, we're going to go all in on this. And that's what we did, man. We put in some long hours, because we're building at the same time something from like scratch, seriously. But like Rebecca said, that we were able to just, when it's family time, it was family time. And when it was kids time, when it was baseball time, when it was gymnastic time, when it was just, breakfast time, it was our time, And
sometimes that was worked around the schedule too, So our schedule might have been like basketball games in the morning and then a series of showings in the afternoon.
Right. All right. But now, speaking about like family and kids, you actually now threw in your family and kids into the business. And now you're creating this whole legacy, right? Now it's the next generation. Amaris, who I adore, your daughter, works on my team actually at eXp Puerto Rico. Tell me how you feel about that. The next generation is part of this whole sort of legacy that you've built.
We are so proud. And, it's funny because, kids have to find their own way.
Yeah.
And she didn't initially set out to be a real estate agent. She had been working in call centers and doing other things, and COVID shut her down, right? Eventually she found herself not being able to find another job. And I said, I think you really should consider real estate in Puerto Rico. She was living in Puerto Rico at the time. And she says, I'm going to go ahead and do it. So she went and got licensed. And then, of course, as we were working together, and I'm so proud of that opportunity to be able to work together with you, Michael, on that, helping to open up Puerto Rico. She had that opportunity once again to apply and be now that onboarding specialist. And so we couldn't be any prouder of her than, for that accomplishment. And she did that on her own, even though we have this relationship, but she did all the action, being able to apply for the job, showing her skills and being able to qualify for that position. And I think she's doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
With
We're so happy with her.
Yeah, Maris is she's very ambitious, very loving, very caring, very self-driven. When she really finds herself like she really can understand and really wants to take that lead. She did it. And I love the fact that, like Rebecca said, that she did this on her own, and I'm really proud of her. I'm really, really proud of her. I'm proud of the growth that I see in her also, Michael.
I love that. That's awesome. She's an amazing young lady. So you've done an amazing job there.
Thank you.
Then I want to ask you something. So you entered the business in 2005. You entered before the crisis. You've seen the cycles of the business. And, I always sort of say it's almost unfortunate for somebody entering the business today because they haven't had that. They've only seen an up market and the markets are cyclical. What 3 pieces of advice would you give somebody entering the business today?
I think definitely it's important who you align with. Having good mentorship and leadership, investing in yourself, coaching, because if you want to break through to the next level, you have to be constantly looking for that coaching that's going to help get you there. Finding people who have already been there and learning from them, right? Mm-hmm. And stay coachable. Yeah. And what would that last one be?
I would start off with doing your homework and aligning yourself with the right brokerage or leadership. Mm-hmm. That's important. And second, I will go into the most important. I'll tell you this, Michael, and I agree with Rebecca on this one, was the fact that you should be part of a team. Mm-hmm. Align yourself with someone that's going to take you to the next level. That way you can learn. They can guide you through it. And third of all, Rebecca hit it on the number. Man, you got to be coachable. You got to be able to be coachable.
So he agrees with me.
Yeah.
You guys should write a book together or something. Now, you are also both involved in the community, right? As I am, and you're both involved with NAREP, the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, just where you had a leadership role there. Tell me about what you focus on and why it's important for you to empower our community.
When it comes to NAREP, when you look at our country as a whole, Michael, 87% of our country's GCI is run by Latinos. And we're not, we don't have a voice in our community or in capital. So when we look at those numbers as a whole, we have to stand firm to who we are, and we have to be accepted within our community. And it's very important because when you look at our country as a whole, diversity is really, really still in effect. People may not see it, but it's still in effect in some areas. And I think that when you understand the purpose of why NAREP, what is NAREP and why it's important for us to be able to help and empower our community in the sense of through 3 different pillars when it comes to education, networking, and
networking with industry stakeholders, right? And so helping to educate them so that they can be in the top 10%, right? And to be able to get into those places where they can have that voice, right? Because we're playing small, and because we're playing small, we're not up there. We're not in control of our community growth of anything. So while we may have the highest, what did you call it? The
GCI in the nation.
But we're not in control of that. And so we need to get up there. We need to level up the playing field so that we're in there with the decision makers.
And when we started really fully being committed to working with this organization, with NAREP as an organization, I remember back then, it was back 2014 and 15 when we started getting involved, Michael. the home ownership for Latinos at that point was like 44% due to the fact, 45% due to the fact that the economy, when you think about it, 90% of the Latinos and diversity groups were the most affected when the market crashed.
Absolutely.
So it was really up to us to understand that how this cannot happen again. So that's why it's such an empowerment and a love that Rebecca and I, we have for this, for NARUP and just the committee as a whole. We want to be able to understand and educate them that these things should not be happening. We want to make sure that they're not repetitive. You understand? They don't happen again.
Just being prepared for that next recession.
Just being prepared, so it's
Absolutely.
important.
And I applaud the passion that you guys have for it. I've been involved for many years with the organization, and it's a passion of mine. And you guys have always had such an incredibly strong voice there on a national level. So I applaud what you've done because it's important for our community.
Thank you.
Tell me what the greatest lesson each of you have learned in your career thus far. Doesn't have to be the same answer.
No.
I'll let him go first.
The greatest lesson that we've learned is patience and consistency.
I like that one.
Okay.
I like that one.
Elaborate on that, Joe.
What I mean by patient is when it comes. Yeah,
you can't get the host out of you, can you?
You have to trust the process, Michael. You have to really trust the process. When it comes, you have to be patient enough and trust the process. And consistency is even through the hard times and the good times, you gotta keep looking for more. Stay consistent, stay in the path. You have to trust the system, trust what you're working with, and it'll at the end you'll see everything come together.
For me, I would say just kind of being driven. And if you're not driven, then find something that drives you, because if you are not driven to do anything, you're not gonna succeed.
Yes.
And so for me, I feel that we are where we are today because of the process, the journey that we've gone through. We've learned so many lessons, and I don't think that I would have achieved half of the things that we've achieved thus far if we didn't go through that journey, right? It's the lessons that we learned through that journey that's brought us to where we are today. So I'm very grateful for the journey and the breakthroughs and all that.
I think that's a beautiful thing. Look, you guys are authors, you're podcast hosts, you are very successful real estate professionals. So tell me, you've got a couple of several hundred people as part of your organization. Tell me how you empower your team.
Oh, well, we have a few different ways that we do that. So locally, for our local group, we get together weekly for the ones that are local, and we are kind of mentoring and empowering the group as a whole. Then we have our team. So in our team, we're again just kind of segmenting that, taking it a little bit deeper with them. There's a few more benefits to being part of the team. And so we're leading and coaching, and what we're really aiming for is to build leaders out of them, right?
Yes.
So the goal is not to sit and just be a low-level agent. We want them all to grow, right? So that's what we're inspiring them to be in part of that coaching and training. But I also get together with my growers, my generals, right? So we will get on a weekly or monthly call, and we are supporting one another. What is it that they're going through, and we're helping each other out so that they can. Sometimes they just need a sounding board. They're leaders already in their own right. Everybody needs someone to talk to. And what are you going through? How are you handling it, right? So we're there for each other to help each other grow. So, and then of course, participating with the events that we all create, right? So we've been creating a lot of educational events. And that's just to keep the culture, to keep the energy, to be educating and getting the movement growing, right?
That's right.
So,
yeah, absolutely. I've seen those events. They look amazing.
Of all of those things.
Yeah. When you're able to create a culture of collaboration and can keep that consistency going, Michael, because it all starts with that. Let's be honest with you. If you're able to create that culture, and that culture are aligned with one another, and you're able to collaborate and see that one vision that we all have, and that's growth, empowerment, lead, grow, and grow leaders. everyone will just fall in line, fall in line, fall in line. And I tell you, there's nothing more special to us is when we are able to see these realtors and these leaders just continue growing and just becoming more
That's to me my favorite
powerful.
part. Mhm.
That's a confirmation of what's happening and what we're doing, you know.
And you would
So
keep attracting like-minded people. who
Exactly.
That's
want
100% true.
to align
You
with
know,
that.
it's 100% true. And it's always the idea that when you see others succeed based on what you have helped them to do, it's amazing. It's such a feeling of gratification because you've moved your knowledge forward to somebody else that is able to take advantage of that. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
it really is. It's a
Absolutely.
beautiful thing.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
So tell me how you guys found eXp.
Ooh, good story.
Ooh.
So we, Josh and I had our own personal independent brokerage for 9 years prior to eXp. And at a certain point when we were starting to bounce back from the market recession, Josh was really more of the producer. And I kind of stepped back for a second and I thought, you know what, I want to take a look at this big picture. Where is it really going? And as I was thinking, in my mind, I wanted a 10-year plan to retire, and not to retire as old people. We're not old, but who wants to be working at, full throttle for the rest of your life?
Yep.
You have to have a plan, right? You got to get your business plan in order. And where are you going? So as I sat back to look, where do I want to be in 10 years? I didn't see the future with that company in the direction that it was going. And I remember talking to Josh, and Josh is like, what's going on? I'm happy. Everything's great. We got production. And I said, Josh, but where's it going? Let's really talk about that. And for me, some of the pain points were, just being mostly a husband and wife and a few other agents. I just said, technology is moving so fast. Last year I got the 12, the 13's out already. Who can stay on top of that, right? Technology is moving really fast.
Sure.
And on top of that, the real estate industry is moving so quickly. And I said, we need to align ourselves with a company that's going to take us into the future. And I had not heard of eXp at the time when I was saying that. So there was no hurry to move. I didn't make any pressure, but I said, we need to take a look at other brands. So we started doing our homework, checking out the other big boxes. And while I respect them all, they have great models, but they weren't the model for us. I kept thinking, I don't want to pay a franchise fee. I don't see the value of that. We've already made our brand. So if I'm going to pay X amount for that, I'm just going to throw that into marketing, right? So what do I need that for? And, but when we heard about eXp, we were like, that's different. Hold on a second. That might be more of what we're interested in, but it still took us a little while. Josh, you want to tell the rest of that?
Yeah, it took us a little while, and it wasn't until January of 2018. Mm-hmm. No, 19.
Because we'd never heard of the company.
2019.
So we're like,
we had we were approached by two of our leaders. And they sat down with me, and they basically said what their vision and their goal is moving forward, as far as
creating the global alliance.
Creating the global alliance.
I love this.
Yeah, creating the global alliance, and what's their vision was, what our involvement was going to be part of. And it was just, man, it was a no-brainer, Michael. It was like
That's
a
awesome.
15-minute conversation. I came home.
You were in.
Pack it up. We're done.
Pack it up.
And and most importantly is like when you're able to collaborate with people that you really admire and respect in your backyard, in your industry, in your community, and vice versa. And for us to really, Michael, I'm gonna say, we dropped our egos at the door and we just said, let's do this all together. Let's build something bigger than what we expected to be. And man, it's a beautiful thing when you look at 2,000 agents later, 2 years.
So I want to say something else to that though, because when we heard about eXp, of course, at the time, and this was a few years ago, we hadn't a little more than a few, because we've already been almost 2.5 years now with eXp. Wow, and it was probably about 2 years earlier than that. So we hadn't heard of it. So we were a little bit skeptical. Who are they? We, want to know a little bit more about the company. But when they came and they told us about creating the Global Alliance, it didn't have that name yet. It was a vision. It was a vision. And it was an idea that some top brokers would come together and say, it doesn't matter whose downline we're in, we're all going to be committed to helping each other. And that collaboration, that's the vision that I saw. I didn't know if it was actually going to come into fruition, but I signed up for that. I said, that's what I want. That's what I'm looking for. I wanted the support, because aside from wanting the technology and the company, the innovation, I wanted that collaborative spirit, that support that was going to help one another. And I wanted to be part of that. I wanted to be part of that change, And so that is what excited me. And now as I look, we've been 2.5 years, the ones that started initially together, 2.5 years later. And the leader, of course, at the top, he's got 2,000 agents. Why do you think he's got 2,000 agents? It's this collaborative spirit that we are. And I've got 200 on mine, but 239, who's counting? But it's because of that. It's because we're all helping each other. It's because of that core value of educating, empowering, and leading and creating other leaders. People want to be a part of that. And that's what I'm excited to be a part of.
And it shows.
Yeah, and I tell you, we hear it everywhere we're at. It's like, man, you guys just created something that, did you guys expect it to be this way? I said yes and no.
Yeah,
we felt like it was going to work, but we all followed our heart and we believed it and we stuck to the plan. Until this day, we're still committed to it until this thing continues growing. But man, I'll tell you right now, it was the best move we ever did, man, in our whole entire career.
I love this. This is awesome. And so my next question, you've probably already answered, but in one word or in a sentence, tell me how you define success.
I think defining success would be staying coachable, always be learning. And as long as you have that open heart, like if you get stuck and you can't change, you're going to be outdated. You're going to be a dinosaur. You're not going to grow. What's not growing is what? Dying. So to me, success is growing. Success is staying coachable. Success is building other leaders. So what I learned, I want to teach it to someone else so they can grow as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, she just took the words. Yes. I would say pay it forward, Michael. That's the most important.
What it is.
That's who Rebecca are. That's how we built Soto Legacy Group. That's who we are from the beginning, 16 years, is that if you're not able to pay it forward, what's the reason you're doing it?
Look, it's in your name, legacy. It's what you leave for others.
Exactly. Right. We all have to understand that this is not something about just keeping to ourselves. This is something about giving back to the community. When you're able to give back, one of the things that you can remember, Michael, is that when we all go and we pass away, we have to remember who do you want people to remember you by? The money you have or what you did for what you gave back?
That's right.
That's the only thing they're going to remember.
That's all it is. So I have one final question for you. In your book of life, what is this chapter called?
Okay, it's funny because we were thinking about that one before the show. We're like, all of these are easy. What is that final question? So for me, I feel like breaking limits would be that one for me. So as I think about all the achievements that we've been able to accomplish, I think that the journey that has taught us all these lessons has taught us when we get to that glass ceiling, right? How do you break through that? Well, it's that journey, that all those lessons that you learned that helped you to break through that limit. So for me, it's breaking limits.
Love that one.
I love that one.
I love that one.
Becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable. When you're uncomfortable, comfortable brings growth. Failures bring growth. You learn every single time you fail. There's a lesson to be learned by those failures. And when if you don't fail, then there's a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
You're too comfortable. You're too comfortable, Michael.
You got to stretch yourself.
You got to stretch yourself to the limits that, man, even if your palms are sweaty and you just feel like at that moment that you shouldn't be there, no, you belong there.
That's right.
Pull up that chair to that table, because if you in your heart, you follow your heart no matter what. So I would say
that's it. I love, oh my God, you guys just inspire so many people. You inspire me. I love you guys so much. I am so in awe of what you do for so many others. And I thank you so much for being on the show and for being more than that, for being my friends. You guys are amazing leaders. And it is such an honor to know you both and to really be in business with you guys.
Thank
Well,
you
thank
so
you,
much,
Michael.
Michael. We love you. To me, I keep thinking about that first day we met, and I wanted to say one more thing about that. So I think about how we met almost 2 years ago, right here in my podcast. And I think this was the background as well. That's why I kind of wanted to be here. But I think about, I didn't get to see you till almost a year later in Cabo. And I already felt like I loved you like a brother.
Yeah.
And that relationship was nurtured online,
It's
like
so
we
true.
didn't meet until that time. And so I think about what a wonderful company that we work with, that we have that opportunity where we meet people, that we create real relationships. So you think of
100%.
virtual, you're like, how personable can it be? And I felt like when I saw you in Cabo, it was instant hugs. It wasn't that.
I know.
I don't know who
I
you
know.
are.
I know. It was already established.
Yeah, I tell you, when we found out, when we see, I quickly messaged you because Michael, you and I sat on our board, and wow, when I heard that message, I was like, Rebecca, we got to get Mike on the show. We got to get Mike on the show.
And it was my honor. And it's been from day one. And you're right, Rebecca, this friendship has grown into such a lovely, lovely family. And so thank you for that. And it's been amazing. So thank you for being on the show. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you all for listening. This has been the Global Luxury Real Estate Mastermind with me, your host, Michael Valdez.
Adios.